We thank you for this Christmas blessing.
Here you go, eat up. Merry Christmas.
Oh, thank you. What a wonderful surprise.
Name and lineage. State your purpose here.
All travelers must register and pay the tax before entering the city.
Where is the baby boy who has been born king?
Scribes, look to the prophecies. Where is the Messiah to be born?
We need to figure this out.
I know, but how?
The world is tired not just from the grind of daily life, but from a deeper, quieter exhaustion, the kind that doesn't go away with sleep. We are weary of bad news, endless conflict, and a constant sense of uncertainty about what tomorrow holds. Everywhere we turn, whether it is war, political tension, economic hardship, or personal pain, the world feels like it's groaning under the weight of brokenness. But what if I told you, this is exactly the kind of world Christmas was meant for? Today, more than ever, we are surrounded by noise but starved for meaning. We scroll through social media, bombarded by curated perfection while quietly battling depression, anxiety, and loneliness. We live in the most connected time in human history, yet so many hearts feel isolated, unseen, and unloved. And as December rolls around, the world tries to wrap itself in tinsel and cheer. But for many, it feels like a mask, a glittery cover-over, deep wounds. Families are fractured, communities are divided, people feel hopeless. You can feel it in conversations, how quick we are to argue, how slow we are to listen. You can feel it in the headlines, so much suffering and so few answers. And in the middle of it all, there is this ache for something real, a sense that we're missing something vital, something sacred. Even the church isn't immune. Many believers find themselves spiritually dry, going through the motions but feeling distant from the God they once knew intimately. Faith, for some, has become routine rather than refuge. And yet, deep in the human soul, there's a longing that won't go away. A hunger for peace that no politician can provide. A thirst for truth that no algorithm can satisfy. A need for love that doesn't come with conditions. This is where Christmas begins, not with perfection, but with desperation. Because into the chaos of the world, God whispered, "I'm coming." The world is crying out for something real, something lasting, something unshakable. So what does Christmas, this ancient celebration of a baby born in a manger, have to do with all this chaos? Everything. Because if Christmas is true, if God really did step into our broken world in the form of a baby, then hope is not just a wishful idea. It is a person, and his name is Jesus. Over the next 30 minutes, we're going to explore why the world needs Christmas more than ever. Not the commercial version, but the real one. The raw, radical, redemptive story of God coming down to be with us. And we'll discover how this truth can still change lives today, starting with yours. We'll look at how history repeats itself, how suffering is not new, and how God has always shown up when people least expect it. We'll hear stories that prove the light still shines in the darkness, and find fresh ways to live out the hope Christmas offers. So if you're tired, if you're discouraged, if you feel like the light is fading, this message is for you. Let us talk about why Christmas still matters, why it always has, and why, in 2025, it may be more needed than ever before.
Goodness and mercy, they overflow through valleys deep, through mountains.
There is a quiet ache that lives in the background of our modern lives. It is the kind of ache that doesn't scream. It just hums beneath everything, whispering that something is missing. We live in a world more advanced than any generation, before us. We can order groceries with a voice command, talk to loved ones across the world instantly, and stream endless entertainment at our fingertips. But for all our progress, something sacred has slipped through our fingers. We've lost wonder. We've lost silence. We've lost connection, not just with each other, but with God. The chaos of our times isn't just found in headlines or disasters. It's found in homes where parents barely speak to their children. It's found in relationships built on convenience rather than commitment. It is found in churches where the message of Jesus has been replaced by performance and production. We've traded depth for speed, truth for comfort, and presence for distraction. The world has never been noisier, yet never more spiritually numb. Deep down, we know it. We feel it when we lay in bed at night, scrolling endlessly, hoping to stumble across something that feels like purpose. We feel it when holidays come around, and instead of joy, we feel pressure. To buy more, smile more, be more. Even when we're running on empty. People are grieving things they can't even name. And while we've become experts at numbing the pain with busyness, entertainment, consumerism, none of it satisfies. Like drinking salt water, the more we consume, the thirstier we become. But perhaps this emptiness is the very thing that can lead us back to something real. Perhaps what feels like the end is actually the beginning, a divine setup for a holy interruption, because in the biblical story, Christmas didn't come during a time of peace and prosperity. It came during occupation, injustice, spiritual drought, and fear. It came in the midst of silence to 400 years of it. Generations had waited, hoping, praying, wondering if God had forgotten them, and then in the stillness a baby cried. The silence broke. Heaven invaded earth. Doesn't that sound familiar? A weary world, a sense of spiritual silence, a people wondering if God still sees them. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Maybe our disarray isn't a sign of God's absence. Maybe it is the perfect backdrop for his arrival. That is what Christmas reminds us, that no matter how lost we feel, no matter how broken things seem, God is never far off. He doesn't wait for things to be perfect. He steps into the mess in a culture chasing after everything. Christmas invites us to return to the one thing that matters, the presence of Emmanuel, God with us, because the truth is, what we've lost isn't irretrievable. It is not gone forever. What we've lost, wonder, peace, meaning, connection, all of it can be found again. But not in the places the world tells us to look. We find it in a manger. We find it in a savior. We find it in a God who chose to be with us, not in palaces, but in poverty, not in safety, but in sacrifice. And maybe, just maybe, we're not too far gone. Maybe this disarray is just the prologue, because light is coming, and the story isn't over yet. When we strip away the ornaments, the carols, and the consumerism, we're left with a story so raw, so radical, it almost seems impossible. A teenage girl, a frightened fiancé, a scandalous pregnancy, no room at the inn. Animals, dirt, a birth that didn't look anything like royalty, and yet it was the arrival of a king. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't polished, it wasn't safe, but it was holy. Because Christmas, at its core, is about God stepping down, not just to visit, but to dwell, to be with us, Emmanuel. That name isn't just poetic, it is prophetic. It means God with us, not God above us, not God watching us, not God judging from a distance, but God with us, In the middle of the chaos, the crying, the cold, and the confusion, this was no distant deity sending a memo from heaven. This was the creator of the universe putting on skin and walking among his creation. Think about that for a second. The infinite wrapped himself in the finite. The eternal entered time. The all-powerful became vulnerable. Why? Because love doesn't keep its distance. The message of Christmas isn't that we finally found our way to God. It is that God found his way to us, and he came not just to visit, but to rescue. Jesus didn't arrive with a sword, but with open arms. He didn't come to overthrow governments, but to conquer hearts. He didn't come to offer a religion, but a relationship. That manger wasn't just a humble beginning. It was a declaration of divine intent. I will go anywhere to reach you. I will enter your pain, your poverty, your problems, just to prove you're not alone. This truth echoes through history and into our hearts today, because when we look around and see a world unraveling, it is easy to wonder, where is God? Why doesn't he do something? And Christmas answers, he did. He came, not with thunder, but with a whisper, not to crush us, but to carry us. He came as a child, so we wouldn't be afraid to approach him. He came poor, so we'd know he understands lack. He came fragile, so we'd never feel ashamed of our weakness. Jesus is not unfamiliar with the human experience. He lived it all. Hunger, betrayal, grief, rejection, joy, pain, death. He gets it. He gets you, and that's what makes Christmas timeless. It's not locked in the past. It is not just a historical moment to remember. It is a living message to receive, over and over again, because the world will keep changing. New fears will rise. Old wounds will resurface. But the truth of Christmas never dims. God came. God is here. God is with us right now. In your doubt, in your stress, in your tears, in your questions, he is not far, and that changes everything. It is one thing to believe that God was with us 2,000 years ago. But what about now? What about when the diagnosis is terminal? When the marriage is collapsing? When the prayers feel unanswered? And the silence from heaven feels louder than ever? The message of Christmas doesn't just remind us of what God did. It reminds us that he is still doing it. The miracle of Emmanuel didn't end in Bethlehem. It continues. In hidden hospital rooms, in whispered prayers, in ordinary people, holding on to extraordinary hope. Let me tell you a few stories. There is a woman in her 50s who had been estranged from her son for over a decade. He wanted nothing to do with God, and even less to do with her. She prayed every single night, and last December, completely out of the blue, he showed up on her doorstep, not just with an apology, but with a heart transformed by Christ. That Christmas, they cried through the night, not just as mother and son, but as prodigal and home. There is a man who lost everything in a fire. Home, business, years of dreams turned to ashes. But as he stood in that rubble, he said the most unexpected words. This is where I find God again. With the help of a local church, his family found shelter, support, and a new beginning. This Christmas, they're giving away more than they ever had, because hope is contagious. Then there is the addict who spent years in and out of jail, convinced he'd never be free. But in a prison chapel on Christmas Eve, he heard the story of the manger, and something cracked open. He said it was the first time he felt seen. He gave his life to Christ, and now leads recovery groups across the country, offering others what was once impossible for him. Freedom. These aren't fairy tales. These are modern-day mangers. Places where God still chooses to show up in the dirt, the dark, the despair. We often look for miracles in lightning bolts and parting seas. But more often than not, miracles look like forgiveness, like reconciliation, like peace where there should be pain, like joy that makes no sense. Christmas is proof that God can take the bleakest situation and breathe life into it. He did it then. He is doing it now, and if you're still waiting for your miracle, don't give up. He is not finished. Maybe your story is still being written. Maybe the light hasn't broken through just yet. But hold on, because sometimes the longest nights make room for the brightest stars. The shepherds in the Christmas story were watching their flocks by night, not during a celebration, but in routine darkness. That is when the angels appeared. That is when the sky exploded with glory. God has a habit of showing up in the middle of ordinary night, so don't despise the dark. It may be the very place He chooses to meet you. This Christmas, believe again, hope again, expect again, because miracles still happen, and the light still shines in the darkness. Look around, not just with your eyes, but with your spirit. The world is restless, tense, divided. People are living in survival mode. Trust is rare. Compassion is optional. Empathy is fading. We argue more than we listen. We scroll more than we speak. We isolate more than we reach out. And somehow, in all of it, Christmas has become a commercial distraction, an escape from reality, rather than a reminder of what reality could be if God truly reigns in our hearts. But that is not what Christmas was meant to be. We don't need more sales. We don't need more glitter. We don't even need more traditions. What we need is what Christmas originally offered. Divine interruption, sacred disruption, realignment with the heartbeat of heaven. The world doesn't need another happy holiday. It needs healing. It needs the kind of Christmas where pride bows, where forgiveness flows, where strangers become family, and where the Prince of Peace is not a slogan but a savior. This kind of Christmas doesn't ignore the pain. It speaks into it. It doesn't offer distractions. It offers deliverance. Because Jesus didn't come to decorate our lives. He came to redeem them. He came for the burned out mom barely holding it together. For the grieving father who doesn't know how to celebrate this year. For the student battling depression. For the pastor who has lost his fire. For the couple on the verge of divorce. For the addict who wants to be clean but feels hopeless. He came for you. And right now, in 2025, when the world feels like it is unraveling again, politically, socially, spiritually, Christmas reminds us that chaos doesn't scare God. He entered it once. He'll enter it again. This is the kind of Christmas the world needs. The kind where we remember that hope has a face, that peace has a voice, that love took on flesh and came running after us. It is not sentiment. It's not seasonal. It is revolutionary. Imagine if this year we didn't just celebrate Christmas, we embodied it. If we slowed down to see people, if we gave without expecting anything in return, if we forgave debts, opened our homes, loved, without limits. That is the kind of Christmas that can shift a city, heal a home, break generational pain, transform a heart. Because when we live like Jesus came, people start to believe He still does. This year, we need more than a break. We need a breakthrough. And Christmas, the real Christmas, is still powerful enough to bring it.
Every doubt erased.
It is not enough to know the story. We're invited to step into it. If Christmas is more than a tradition, more than nostalgia, more than a nativity scene on a shelf, then how do we reclaim its true spirit? It starts with remembering this. The first Christmas wasn't a performance. It was messy, sacred, intimate, full of faith, fear, obedience, and awe. And maybe that is exactly how we need to approach it today. Reclaiming the spirit of Christmas means letting go of the pressure to perform. You don't need the perfect decorations or the most expensive gifts. You don't need every detail to be Instagram worthy. What you need is space. Space for God to move, to speak, to remind you that His presence is the point. It means slowing down. Busyness has become our badge of honor, but Jesus was never in a hurry. What if the greatest gift you give this season isn't wrapped in paper, but in your time, your attention, your presence? It means forgiving. Christmas is about a God who came to forgive us. How can we hold on to bitterness? Maybe this is the year to release that grudge, make that call, send that message. Not because they deserve it, but because grace didn't wait for us to deserve it either. It means noticing the invisible. Who is alone this year? Who is hurting in silence? Who is praying for a miracle that maybe you could be the answer to? The spirit of Christmas compels us to reach out, to include, to love radically. It means worshipping. Not just singing carols, but bowing our hearts again to the wonder that God came near, that He still comes near, that the God of glory became a child, so that we might become children of God. To reclaim the spirit of Christmas is to recenter our hearts on the one it is all about. No brand, no budget, no performance, just Jesus. When Mary said yes to God, she had no idea how much it would cost her. She risked her reputation, her comfort, her very life, and yet she said yes. That is the spirit we're called to embody. Obedience, surrender, worship. Not because it is easy, but because it is worth it. This isn't just about celebrating a birth. It is about joining the mission, becoming agents of hope, carriers of peace, voices of truth, and vessels of love in a world that's starving for all of it. And when we live this way, Christmas never ends. It becomes a way of life. So this year, what if we chose less sparkle and more substance? Less rush, more reverence, less noise, more meaning, less self, more Christ. Because when we do, we won't just reclaim Christmas. We'll rediscover the joy we've been missing.
Promise He will never break a love no power.
So here we are, standing in the glow of the Christmas story once more. Not just as spectators of a sacred tradition, but as people in need of the very thing it promises. Because when the decorations come down, when the music fades, when the world returns to its fast-paced grind, the question remains, will we carry the light of Christmas with us? Because Christmas was never meant to live in December. It is a declaration that echoes through every day of the year. God is with us. God is for us. And God is not done yet. That means the hope you feel when you hear a Christmas hymn. It can follow you into February. That peace that settles during candlelight service. It can sustain you in the chaos of April. That joy that sparks in giving. It can live in June, in July, in every ordinary moment. Why? Because Jesus didn't come to give us a season. He came to give us Himself. He came to bring light that the darkness can't overcome, to bring love that doesn't quit, to bring life that doesn't expire when the calendar flips. So no matter what 2025 has held so far, or what 2026 will bring, you can rest in this truth. God has already stepped into your story, and He is not leaving. Let that anchor you. Let that guide you. Let that fuel you to become the kind of person who carries Christmas into the world, not with wrapping paper and lights, but with kindness, courage, and love. Because someone near you is waiting to see if the message is real. Someone is waiting to see if hope still lives, if peace still reigns, if love still shows up, and you, filled with the spirit of the one born in Bethlehem, might be the answer they're praying for. So go, carry the message, live the light, be the hope, because the world doesn't just need Christmas in December, it needs it every single day. Merry Christmas, and may the truth of Emmanuel stay with you always. Don't forget to subscribe and share this message with someone who needs to remember that hope is never out of season.
Faithful forever, His